Your phone was lightning fast the day you got it. Apps opened instantly. Everything was smooth. It felt like magic. But somewhere between then and now, that same phone started stuttering, lagging, and making you wait. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Your phone didn't get slower. The world around it got faster. And that difference is being used against you in ways you haven't fully realized yet. This is one of those topics where the obvious answer turns out to be only half the story. Because yes, there are real technical reasons your phone slows down. But there's another layer underneath that, a layer involving billion-dollar companies, deliberate decisions, and a system quietly designed to make you feel like your phone is worn out right around the time a shiny new model hits the shelves. Welcome to Tiny But Wise, where we take the small things you ignore every day and reveal the big truths hiding inside them. Before we get into the full picture, sit with these questions for a moment. Have you ever noticed that your phone seems to slow down right around the time a new version comes out? Have you ever wondered why a software update, something that's supposed to improve your phone, sometimes makes it feel noticeably heavier and slower? And here's the one that might genuinely bother you. What if some of that slowdown isn't accidental? What if it was, at least in part, designed? Keep that thought close. We'll come back to it. Let's start with the real, legitimate reasons your phone slows down over time. And the first one begins somewhere most people never think about, the battery. When you buy a new phone, the battery inside it is fresh. It holds a full charge, delivers power consistently, and keeps up with everything the processor demands. But batteries are not permanent. They are chemical systems, and every single charge cycle, every time you plug in and unplug, degrades them slightly. After about 500 full charge cycles, which for most Americans happens within 2 years of normal daily use, a lithium-ion battery retains only around 80% of its original capacity. And here's the part that directly connects to speed. When a battery weakens, it can no longer deliver power in the sharp, consistent bursts that a processor needs during demanding tasks. So the phone does something automatic and mostly invisible. It throttles the processor. It slows it down deliberately to prevent the battery from failing completely mid-use. Your phone isn't actually broken. It's compensating. But the experience of that compensation feels exactly like a phone falling apart. Now layer on top of that what's happening to your storage. The day you set up a new phone, the storage is nearly empty. Data reads and writes happen quickly because there's plenty of clean space to work with. But 2 years in, that same storage is packed. Photos, apps, cached data, message histories, downloaded files you forgot about, all of it fills the space. And when storage gets crowded, the phone has to work significantly harder to find, read, and write information. It's like trying to find a specific document in a filing cabinet that was once organized and now has papers stuffed in every available gap. The information is still there. Getting to it just takes longer. And that delay shows up as lag, stuttering, and apps that take forever to load. Here's the curiosity loop we want you to hold on to. If battery degradation and storage congestion are real and documented causes of slowdown, why does it so often feel like the slowdown gets dramatically worse right after a software update? That's the question that led a lot of people to a very uncomfortable answer. And we'll get there. But first, let's talk about what software updates actually do to older phones. When Apple releases a new version of iOS or Google pushes a new version of Android, those updates are built with newer hardware in mind. The latest iPhone or Pixel has a processor that's 2 or 3 generations more powerful than the one sitting in your 2-year-old device. The new software is optimized for that new hardware. But your old phone still gets the update, partly for security reasons, which is legitimate and important. The problem is that your older processor now has to run software it was never designed to run. It's like asking someone to carry a load that got heavier without giving them any additional strength. The phone strains. It runs hotter. It slows down. And that experience often arrives in a very specific window, right around the time the manufacturer is heavily marketing the newest model. Now here is the twist. And this one is not a theory. This is documented history. In 2017, a Reddit user posted benchmark tests showing that Apple iPhones running older batteries performed significantly slower after certain iOS updates. The data spread fast. Independent researchers confirmed it. Apple initially stayed quiet. Then, under enormous public pressure, they admitted it. They called it a performance management feature, a way of protecting phones with degraded batteries from unexpected shutdowns. That explanation was technically true, but what they hadn't done was tell anyone. No notification, no pop-up, no option to disable it. Millions of iPhone users had experienced mysterious slowdowns and concluded their phone was dying and needed replacing, without ever being told that a software setting was responsible. The backlash was massive. Apple was sued in multiple countries and eventually paid out hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements. They also introduced a battery health feature that finally gave users visibility into what was happening inside their own device. But here's the deeper truth that the Apple story points toward. Phone manufacturers exist in a business model that requires you to upgrade. Not occasionally, regularly. The entire revenue structure of companies like Apple and Samsung depends on a significant percentage of their user base buying a new device every 2 to 3 years. And the single most powerful motivator for buying a new phone is the feeling that your current one is no longer good enough. If your phone ran perfectly for 5 or 6 years, the upgrade cycle would collapse. So while no company is going to openly admit to engineering obsolescence, the incentives to allow it, or to make decisions that quietly accelerate it, are enormous and obvious. This is called planned obsolescence, and it exists on a spectrum. On one end, you have legitimate engineering trade-offs, optimizing new software for new hardware at the expense of older devices. On the other end, you have deliberate throttling without user knowledge or consent. Most of what happens in the phone industry lives somewhere in the murky middle of that spectrum, and consumers, for the most part, have no idea. Here is the most important thing you can do with everything you just learned. Check your battery health right now. On an iPhone, go to Settings, then Battery Health. If it's below 80%, battery degradation is almost certainly contributing to your phone's slowdown, and a battery replacement, which costs a fraction of a new phone, can restore a significant amount of that lost performance. On Android, the process varies by manufacturer, but apps like AccuBattery give you detailed battery health data. Before you convince yourself you need a new phone, check the battery. Clear your storage. Delete apps you haven't opened in months. These are not glamorous solutions, but they work, and they can extend the life of your device by a year or more. Here is the single most powerful insight of this entire video. Your phone is not just a device. It is a product in a system designed to have a lifespan not because it has to wear out that fast, but because the business model works better when it does. The slowdown you feel is real. Some of it is physics and chemistry and legitimate engineering. But some of it is also the result of decisions made in boardrooms by people who understood exactly how that slowdown would make you feel and what it would make you do. And now that you know that, you have something most consumers never get, the ability to make that decision consciously on your own terms. So next time your phone feels sluggish and you start eyeing the newest model, ask yourself one question first. Is my phone actually dying, or has someone just made me feel like it is? If you found this video valuable and learned something new, do us a favor, like subscribe to Tiny But Wise and share it with your loved ones. Now your turn. Drop a comment with the next topic. We read every comment, and the best suggestion gets a shout out. See you there.